Hey, it's the road show, and the gang's all here. And two of said gang have just returned from a pretty boss event in the UK, Goodwood Festival of Speed. Any guesses on which two? Wasn't me.
Wasn't me.
Maybe it was the two Brits, right? Okay.
That's a safe bet, right?
You just insult Alan straight away.
Yeah.
Just down the block.
I go with the flow. I'm an easy character. That's how we roll in Australia. So.
You've been before, though, Lindsay. I have not.
I have. I went to Revival last year.
Revival, that's what it was. Okay. But Festival of Speed, Dan, you said Festival of Speed has really taken the place as sort of the premier, I don't know, car show, automotive event in the UK.
Yeah, it's an interesting observation. When I went 15 years ago, and you could go there for sort of, seeing cool cars going up the hill, but there wasn't as much of a, manufacturer positioning there. We used to have an event in Birmingham, which was the national car show, and that's where all the manufacturers would go. But I think that's dead, and I think it's now, all eyes on Goodwood to launch cars, to be there and engage with the public. Alan, did you go to Goodwood in the past?
Yeah, I went about the same time. Back in the day, there was a DJ, Jamiroquai. He was big into cars, had a load of cool cars, and he went on Top Gear with. He did a lap around the track, and star in a reasonably priced car. And there was another person, Jodie Kidd. She has her own show, Kid in the Sweet Shop.
Yeah.
And Jodie's lap time was faster than Jamiroquai's and JK's. So when I was at Goodwood, he had his black Enzo Ferrari parked in the field like it was just a normal banger. And someone in the dust had written Jodie was faster. So,
that's fantastic.
Get out.
Yeah, I wish I got a photo of it back then. So it was good.
It's like
so
we always say
about the same time, but
we always say, the events are really good.
And yeah, exactly. Everything about Goodwood is amazing. But Dan, as you saw on the weekend as well, it's just insanely busy and big.
Yeah.
It's huge. I went on a Friday and it was still X deep, and I knew it was going to be busy. So, I managed to buy some grandstand tickets, and thankfully so, because the hay bales are higher as well this year because cars are bigger and faster. So, health and safety always gets in the way of good fun. So,
yeah, good thing those hay bales were there this year. We witnessed the poor Lotus. Yeah.
Yeah, we started the weekend with that. So the Thursday, I think it's the Thursday, one of the very first runs, this Lotus, the electric Lotus that's got 2,000 horsepower, straight off the line, smoking it up and straight into the hay bales, literally a few meters away. So the one good thing is that took the pressure off every other driver driving down the hill that weekend, because it's like you can't really do worse than that.
I don't know if you guys play golf at all, but occasionally I go out and play around with a few friends, and when you go off, on the first hole, the tee box, your first swing, you can be in the driving range for a couple of hours before, but your first swing in front of people on the heading down the fairway is always crap. So it's the same pressure. Right? First driver. No, exactly.
First 2 minutes of any podcast.
Yeah, they're rough as hell. Exactly.
What?
When does that end, Ryan? By the way,
Not today, of course. Not today.
But I will say that clip of the Lotus has been looped at work at McLaren, just analyzing, what went wrong, because they obviously blame the driver, but it's clearly a software thing. When you look at it, it just didn't break. It was full throttle.
So
I think you're breaking some news there. Yeah.
Can you help us, for the rest of us that are not as informed as you? How can you tell that it was a software issue from watching it?
Yeah, so you obviously have stability control in these vehicles and torque vectoring, and it didn't back off. There was, as it was, obviously it's high downforce car, but there's no downforce when you're launching. Cold tires because you can't have tire warmers there. So it was a perfect ingredient for it all to go wrong. But yeah, those wheels were still spinning, obviously, as you can see, when he had backed out. So,
jeez.
So that's how you know.
What a crazy thing. And poor guy. I don't know who was driving it. I heard it was someone from their supplier. Was it Motomatic or what's the?
It was a Multimatic driver.
Multimatic, right? Johnny Lieberman mentioned that on Spike's Car Radio. I mean,
Yep.
I guess there's a reason he was anonymous going into this.
Mystery man.
Poor
now.
Lotus, man. Poor Lotus can't catch a break.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have
Yeah,
friends
they're
over
not-
there too. That's the,
They had a good stand, and I went on to their stand and had a look, and obviously they've got the I think it's 2 million, something like that, for the version they've got an Emerson Fittipaldi John Player Special liveried up version, and it does look really, really nice.
Yeah.
But that paint job is an extra 300,000.
oh,
So
get out.
that's expensive
Wow.
pinstriping. You don't need- Is that all? Yeah.
I
Is that
rocked
real
up to
gold
that
leaf?
stand.
Yeah.
The Lotus stand. I rocked up to the stand with two buddies.
Yeah.
And they've got very early Lotus Elises.
Okay.
And they had like free coffee if you owned a Lotus. So they produced these keys to prove they owned a Lotus. And these keys could have been from any Vauxhall, from any other car, but because they said they were Lotuses, and they were Lotuses, but they could have been any other car. They got us free coffee. So
Yeah.
shout out to Nick and Nick.
They always
Hey.
have those immobilizer button things, those fobs too, right? Like that, were never worked from day one.
It was about
right?
as sophisticated as a screwdriver. It was like,
Which may also work, right?
Which is what
Yeah.
normally gets used. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
But going
Yeah,
on, to your point, it was the Jaguar Land Rover stand at the top of the hill. It's not even a stand; it was a building. It was huge. It was like a
Really?
shopping center, and is vast. And last time I was there, you could sort of sit on the grass, a bit of a picnic. There was no spare space. It was stands everywhere this
Wow.
time. Had a little bit of rain on the Friday, so obviously there's a few muddy trails and stuff. So I got a little bit of drifting in the Targa as I
Nice.
went in down there because you park on the fairway on the Goodwood golf course. So you got to have some fun on the green, don't you?
Right.
best use of a golf course.
Yeah, best use, exactly. I say it's a dirt bike track in the bunker. But as I was heading back, so I only had one day, and you see there's all the cars, or the concourse cars in front of the house, and there's all the stands, all the different interviews on the balcony of the big house. But as I'm walking back, I'd completely forgotten and stumbled over the Red Bull stand. So the F1 cars were there, the Mad Mike car was there, Adrian Newey's RB17 was there, and well, that was only a show car, but you still got the gist of what it's going to be. It's just, how do you stumble over a massive stand? That's how big the place is.
And this thing didn't start out like it is now, right? This was a kind of a smaller gathering. This, of course, is famously on the grounds of, he was Lord March. Now he's been promoted, right? But this is the family estate, right?
Well, now Charlie
yeah.
is Lord March, or his father.
Well, this
How does
track
that work?
it's the driveway to the house as well. So
Right.
it used to be a hill climb back in the day, and then they obviously, when it was Lord March, brought it all back to life again. So the racetrack, and obviously to keep that in keeping with the period in which it did have cars there, was obviously then, I should have done my homework, so don't fact check this, but we'll go like pre-60s or something.
Sure.
And now they used to have it, obviously Goodwood Revival. It's you could only go in period clothing, and I think now they relaxed that last year. Well, I think they did. I went
it was
in
so
normal
hot.
clothes. It was baking hot.
Yeah.
But that was the
He's
first
done an
time.
amazing job.
Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
That was the first time in the history of the event that they have relaxed the dress code, because up
Interesting.
to that point,
Interesting.
if you weren't in period clothing, you either were, gently directed to the vintage shop that's on the grounds of the estate to,
With your
improve your
card in hand,
costume.
Yeah.
And they also had actors who were paid to run around and heckle people that weren't dressed appropriately.
Oh, that's amazing. That's so
How do
British.
you get that
It's
job?
so good
That
one.
would be an awesome job, wouldn't it?
Right. Can you imagine that casting call?
Yeah.
I know 4 people who'd be pretty good at that,
There we
but
go.
you'd be dressed like a Civil War soldier. Did those people not wear anything but wool? I feel like that's
Yeah,
Right.
it was
like,
everything.
wasn't
was
it hot in
thick
the
and
old
heavy.
days too? Yeah.
We had a lot of sheep in the UK. Come on.
That's,
You got to work
What
with
was
what
it
you
like
got,
for-
right?
yeah.
Coming back to Festival of Speed, though, it was huge, and
Yeah.
they put on such a show. The list of people that go there, the cars that are on display, even just getting some time with Dean Lanzanter, a lot of his specials that he does, McLarens, he does the Tag, F1 engined Porsche. He does high downforce kits for P1s. It's just his customer base is right there. It's a really targeted, opportunity for him. And then, as Dan said, there's the Chinese manufacturers were there. There's a Chinese supercar that was there. What was it called? Lohang Shlong or something?
It sounds some sort of porn star name, isn't it?
Like cancellation.
Yeah. But the Chinese were there in such an impactful way, which really, really surprised me. Like, I don't think that would happen in the same way at the US show.
Yeah.
And electric was there in a big way. They had like a dedicated hall for electric cars where all the manufacturers were showing. One interesting one for me was the Callum car. So Ian Callum has got this buggy car that's electric that he's going to be launching, which looked really, really cool. And one of the guys who was with us actually put a deposit down on one. So
nice.
It's an interesting...
Ford bringing back the Capri, that was there.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Well, not in a good way.
No, not in a good way.
Not in a good way.
The Capri name here was a little different, so...
What was it like in the US? What was it?
I remember it as being like a Malaise era car. Do you, Lindsay? Like, I feel like it was kind of like a Ford Fairmont type deal.
Yeah, I mean, it was
there's a story
in the rest of the world.
I think it was unremarkable at best.
Maybe for a couple years there was a hot model, right? Was it Mustang based for a while? I don't even remember. It doesn't. I know it was a bigger deal, right? Where you both grew up, but
yeah. It was, for me, it was like a 70s sports coupe.
Okay.
For the working class in the UK.
But not sporty. Yeah.
But not
well, maybe we're not too far.
You'd hope, right? It was no Holden, right? In terms of...
Right. The promise of performance.
But they've really gone into the hay bales with that, haven't they? In terms of... So they've taken a VW, from what I understand, they've taken a VW and put a SUV body from Ford on it, a couple of styling cues from the Capri, but called it the Capri.
Interesting.
It's an interesting choice.
Check it out.
Sounds like a winner.
Yeah, as much as a winner as it was before. So
maybe they'll bring it here and.
Right. Did they say it was coming to the States too?
Not that I'm aware of, but I guess it's back to that point of the brand not resonating as much in the US, and the Mach-E I think is doing very well now. They did a price cut. With it, and, so I don't think they need two cars of that type.
Right.
You very famously told us about their rally edition. Is that what they're calling it? Before it was out there. Now the car is out there. It's been getting some great press. People are saying it's this amazing thing. It's got twice as much torque off the line as like a Dakar, right? Porsche. So I think they're going to sell every one of those they make.
Well, I think Lieberman's got one on loan at the minute, hasn't he? Did I see an Instagram post to say that he liked it?
Yeah, 840 pound-feet of torque or something.
Yeah. I told him his review actually made me sort of consider getting over the fact that they called it a Mustang.
Blimey.
So I also saw in the UK they're using them as police cars now as well. So
really?
Wow,
interesting.
Yeah.
So Lazante are linked with that Mad Mike car, I think. So
yeah, they built it. Yeah.
For me, that was one of the cars that got the biggest social media impact. So I don't know much about Mad Mike. I think he's a Kiwi drifter. Is that right?
He is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, not an Aussie, but we'll let him go.
A good cousin of the Aussies.
A good cousin. Yeah. But there was a video when they took it to Lanzanter and they interviewed Dean, and Dean's talking to the guy at McLaren. He said, so we're going to let him do whatever he wants to it? And it's like, yep, whatever he wants, and you just go, it's just criminal, to cut it up. But it does look and sound pretty insane. And talking to the people at McLaren, they say it's got a massive following. It's great PR. Yeah. It connects with the right, the age group that they are trying to sort of bring into the family. So, years ago, if you talked about, drifting, they'd go, dude, there's no way we want to be a part of that scene. But it's massive. It's cool. So
yeah, and I think it's a rotary engine.
So they say. It sounds pretty screamy, but I haven't got any details. So
definitely one to look up. It's I think it's a super cool idea.
So can I ask, were you two both there on official business? I mean, and when I say official business, I'm not talking about the road show. Were you there for personal reasons? Were you there? Did you have other reasons for being there? Because I mentioned Dan, you mentioned you had a driver's pass.
Yeah, Alan, do you want to go first on this one? Because I think I'll eat up 10 minutes of oxygen.
Yeah, mine's going to be pretty quick. I went personal. So I
Okay.
just come back from obviously the US and I thought, what events do I want to do when I'm back?
Yeah.
And this was on the list. I thought, don't I live once, do it. And next year I'll do it 2 days because it's just too much and you can't spend enough time, getting around everything and see the racing as well.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
go down.
But we did catch up, didn't we, on the Friday, which was good to see you. And
We did. We went up like motorsport fans and sat on the hay bales and watched the rally cars launch off at the start line into the stage. So yeah, it's great.
Take pictures because I want to picture the two of you up on a hay bale drinking a beer. Like that could be our episode
got a
art
next to the WRC sign, didn't we?
We did.
I think you need to share that with me. I haven't.
Right?
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
So I went all weekend, Thursday to Sunday. Thursday was the go as a regular person day. And I caught up with some friends I'd not seen for many years. And we road tripped from 7 a.m. at a local place into the ground. I parked in the car park that was the furthest away from anything at the event. So I didn't obviously have a Targa at a rental, so they wouldn't let me park anywhere near. But had an amazing day just with friends, hanging out, seeing all the cars, talking to various people and just shooting the shit. The rest of the weekend, I was supporting one of the rally teams. So I didn't quite know what to expect, and I didn't know what that entailed. I just said, yeah, I'll come and help. So it was an unpaid for gig. I was just lucky to be invited.
Mm-hmm.
My rental car had an inflatable mattress and sleeping bag because I thought I would be at the camping site, sleeping in the car. And
Dan loves to sleep in cars.
I do. I mean, when we were at Pikes Peak,
it's a British motorsport thing. When you go, that's
it's a
normally how
vibe.
you watch it. So
yeah. There's a theme
explains
there.
a lot.
Definitely a theme. But being part of this rally team, and we had one car on the main hill, which was a Lancia Delta S4, so an 80s Group B rally car. And then we had 3 cars at the rally stage, which was the top of the hill. I was given the keys to an RV, and I say an RV versus a caravan. I completely spoiled, and I don't deserve any of it. But I had a 50-foot RV that I was sharing with a certain, hopefully future world championship rally driver, Max McRae.
very connected guy.
Yeah,
That's
nephew
amazing.
of Colin and son of
fellas.
Alistair.
Yeah.
But they gave me this medal. And this medal meant that you could enter the drivers' club. And there were 2 drivers' clubs, one down the bottom of the hill and one at the top of the turn. So where you see all the cars that go up to the top of the hill, they then turn to go back down. There's a drivers' club there. And it also meant that I could help move cars and stuff. So the first run for the Lancer's pretty self-sufficient. But I bumped into a couple of buddies of mine who I hadn't seen since I was at primary school, so really early years. One of them was driving a Silk Cut Jaguar, so an 88 Le Mans winning car. And I ended up pushing that around and helping kind of manipulate that. So that was pretty cool, iconic
Yeah, that
car.
thing's
and everything
iconic,
else.
yeah.
But the other one, Tom, a really good friend of mine, Tom, was driving a McLaren Niki Lauda car from the 80s. So this car had won at Brands Hatch, the British Grand Prix. He didn't own it. It was, he was driving it on behalf of the owner. But a real proud moment for me was waiting at the drivers' club at the top of the hill. He was doing the run. He was so nervous about the run. He didn't put a foot wrong. And there's me at the top of the hill. So when he turned in, I was able to give him a big hug as he got out of the car and congratulate him.
Amazing.
That's awesome.
Super lucky and not really well deserved.
Well, we know that's not true.
Yeah. You bumped into rather some other big names while you were there. I know both of you.
Yeah, who did we see, Alan? Like
Richard Petty, I think, and right, he was famously there this year, and Derek Bell, Jackie Stewart, I think. I saw
Yeah,
pictures of. Yeah.
they were all in this paddock, this staging paddock. So I managed to snap some pictures of those guys, and to get Jackie Stewart and Richard Petty laughing with each other is like, talk about two extremes of motorsport,
Right.
but the two of them
Right.
really finding common ground. That was cool. I talked to a rally driver who competed in Pikes Peak. I'm going to manipulate his name wrongly, but Danny Sardo. So
Okay.
he was in one of the electric cars, and he was fourth up Pikes Peak Hill. So I said, "Oh yeah, I saw you 3 weeks ago," and that was quite cool. Just everywhere you looked in the actual drivers' clubs, there were strict rules, so you weren't allowed to take selfies, and you really weren't allowed to bother people from a fan perspective.
Right.
But you just sat there and looked around so you could see.
So I was in a very different place. Although I thought I was in a posh place, I got the talk from Travis Pastrana from Subaru.
Ah,
Oh
So,
my gosh.
and what a guy. He's such a nice guy. He's amazing. The stories that he tells, it's yeah, uh, phenomenal guy. And a friend of mine does his suspension, so we'll see if we can get him on.
that'd be
He's obviously a big
fantastic.
deal, but
Yeah.
yeah, hell of a nice guy, and talks
Yeah.
to everyone, anyone, even me. So
Nice. He had the Huckster, didn't he? So this Subaru, with air and everything else, it's got like air brakes and all this sort of cool stuff.
it's insane. Yeah,
Yeah.
as he breaks, all these panels, air brakes pop up. It
Wow.
looks crazy. You've definitely got to Google this thing.
Yeah, I
So
think Chris Harris drove it. So if you have a look, there's a video of Chris Harris driving it. But for me, what was quite evident was Subaru came in force. They came with Project Midnight, which we talked about a little bit on this
Yes.
podcast.
gorgeous.
Uh,
Yeah.
and you had Scott Speed trying to get the record, and in the end, he came second to the Ford truck.
To a
But Travis,
van, Ford
Yeah.
to,
van.
to a van, sorry, a van. I know you Aussies differentiate. But Travis was really on the tails of Scott. You could tell that he had a point to prove. He was trying to get up, and his times were very similar to Scott's. He did overdo it at one point and go straight into the bales,
Right.
but super nice guy and really going for it on the hill.
Phenomenal.
The Project Midnight was another one, Dan, that I think we had some internal buzz about, right? Before I
How
have to
not
cut
to
this
get
out.
fired from your contracts, but still
Oh yeah.
be open with you guys.
We didn't say anything. We can
Yeah,
edit that out.
I'd known about it for a few weeks. I'd known about different
Yeah.
parts of it as well. I didn't know the full story. I knew that Scott would be driving it. I knew that it was a Skunks Works project from Vermont Sports Car Racing,
Yeah.
who do all the projects for Subaru. They run their rally team in North America and all that sort of stuff. But the thing, I had a quick look at it. So the guy showed me around it as well as the Huckster, and the thing for me was how light the car was. It literally didn't weigh much at all. So the power to weight ratio meant that I think third place was a GT3 RS Cup car. So this thing
Oh,
beat
wow.
the GT3 Cup car on the lap time. So it was a cool piece of engineering.
This is a
Go
highly
Subaru.
turbocharged flat four, right?
Yeah, I think it was like around
Crazy.
700 horsepower,
Okay.
which is pretty phenomenal to get out of that engine, isn't it, Alan?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is definitely squeezing a lot out of it for sure.
Yeah. So and
Also,
lots of aero.
you mentioned Zinger.
Yes.
They have the 3D printed chassis components, and I was lucky enough to get up close to I say a bare chassis. It was as a rolling chassis just recently, and with their carbon 1+1 monocoque, and you can pick it up. Literally
Wow.
at the back, you just. So that's how light that thing is, and how low and optimized everything is. It's pretty insane.
Yeah. Did you see the modernized Mercedes? I guess it's an evolution of the 190, like the DTM type. So there's a company
Yeah.
doing that. Did you spend any time there?
So that was next to Lanzanta's stand, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So I had a look at that. But isn't there a story around the guy that owns that company or did that car? Do
Yeah.
you know more about
So the
it?
guy who is the A from AMG. So I'm not going to pronounce his name because I'll get it completely wrong and lawsuits will ensue. But he's the guy who was part of the AMG family that sold AMG to Mercedes.
Right.
He then wanted a new project. So they've developed a 190, and a completely developed car. The engine, for example, is from an S-Class Mercedes, so it's a V6. It's, they said lots of customers. I talked to the CTO for a while I was there, and they went with a V6 because they could move it back and lower in the front. So I guess, do they call it a mid-front engine-mounted car?
Yeah.
You take a donor 190 to make the car, because we were talking a little bit about how do you get these cars in North America, because normally we have a 25-year rule, or the show and display that the 959 was the instigator for, but it means you can't drive it much. And essentially what you do is you go find a 190 in North America. You take the VIN and the engine, especially if it's a manual one. You take the VIN and the engine numbers, and you build around that. So essentially, you're just modernizing an existing car in the same way that Singer do that as well. But it was a super interesting proposition. Again, lightweight and all about balance and performance.
Interesting. Of course, you said you got to find a 190 in the States. That would be the tough
Well, that's what I'm
part.
thinking. Maybe they're the next 964s, and maybe we should invest in buying up all the 190s and then
That's
start writing some.
That's
Falling
right.
into Ryan's plan now, aren't you?
There we go.
Yeah, that 964, that was the cheap 911 for a long time here, wasn't it, Lindsay? It's
Yep, that, and then
and no one wanted one because they leaked oil.
Right. Yeah, Singer
Right.
Singer had the vision with the 964. Gunther Works had the vision with the 993. So now we're getting it in with the 190s, the next step.
Exactly. You heard it here first, right? Yeah.
All checks made payable to the roadshow.
That's right. We have to have a bank account first.
Yeah.
So Festival of Speed. So you're a Joe in Denver, and you want to do one of the two big Goodwood events. Which one are you going to?
Honestly, you could toss a coin and go either way. They're both amazing. Everything that Goodwood does is top notch. But it is such a big show. Definitely plan early to get accommodation nearby because traffic is crazy.
Yeah.
Right.
And unless you can camp or be a baller like Dan in the RV, but try and do 2 days as well because there's so much to see and you want to sit and just enjoy it. So you do like a Saturday, Sunday. Saturday you'd look around everything and get a feel for the stand, and then Sunday, as much as I don't want to go because of all the the crowd that's there. It's like 10 deep along the fence.
Wow.
It is when all the drivers are there. It is when, a lot more cars are run up the hill. So, it's...
There is an off-road stage halfway up. So this is different to the rally and different to the... but at that off-road stage, you get a view of part of the hill.
Yeah.
So that might be a top tip. Go camp out there. If you turn one way, you're looking at the hill and you're looking at hill climb. And if you turn the other way, you're looking at some cars taking air and going off-road. I say off-road, it's like off-road buggies. So these things are getting air and doing the, all the stuff that they do. So that's probably another top tip. It's a good place to watch the action.
Nice.
Yeah, that sounds like a great spot.
They have tractors. Good old. It's on a farm, so they have tractors and trailers that tow people up and down, so you can, see go and
It's like
go
a
and see
pumpkin
everything.
patch.
Yeah,
Right.
I know. And so we thought we were really clever because Dan said, "Listen, there's a Tesla, chauffeur shuttle that will just blag it. Let's go. Let's see if we can just get in." And we did it, and we thought, "Wow, that's amazing." And on the way back, I didn't try because I thought I don't have Dan's luck. I'm just going to get on the tractor. And then when I got back, I read the paperwork. I had access to all the rides I wanted on
wow.
Tesla. So it's part of the hospitality. So it's
Live and
payback
learn,
for all the
right?
years I got in Bentley hospitality and abused the champagne. So
I would say if you can afford
Use
it,
the
get a level of hospitality.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're long days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're doing a lot of walking. I think I did 20,000 steps a day. And you just want somewhere away from the maddening crowd and that hospitality piece. So if you're going to think about it and you're on the edge whether to do hospitality or not, just do it. You'll thank me later.
Yeah, that makes a big difference.
I went with a friend. We got hospitality in Kinrara suite, so it has a grandstand as well. So you can see it's on the inside of the first two bends, so you see everything really well. And then you have access to hospitality. And we thought, brilliant, we'll have breakfast, lunch, and tea there. We'll have great fun, abuse it. We paid our money. Like I say, it was 300 something. And then when I sat down with my plate of breakfast, it was on the table mat and it gave the price list. and you have access to it. It
Oh,
doesn't mean
shut
you
up.
get the food. So it was another 22 pounds for breakfast. So I went back and got seconds. So
Nice.
That kind of stuff drives me up the wall.
I know,
We're
right?
dealing with some of these issues now as we plan for Car Week, which is short, 4 weeks off.
Yeah.
Right.
Need to do some shopping, but it's how do you play the cards that you're dealt, right? Whether that's media passes, whether that's tickets, whatever. But then there is this whole other level of hospitality, and and to your point, Dan, sometimes it's just so nice to have a place to go chill, right? Like just to turn
Right.
it off a little bit, right?
Well, and especially if the
Yeah,
weather
absolutely.
is hot like it
Yeah.
was,
Yeah.
Yeah.
the suites have air conditioning. That's the only place that has air conditioning, at least at Revival. So being able to step
My
out of the
RV had air
heat.
conditioning.
Whoa.
Did you use it? As long as they had a
No,
roof,
they
'cause it
haven't turned
rains
it
a
on.
lot.
Is it still so hot in Seattle, guys?
Yes.
Yeah.
You're down south, aren't you, Lindsay? Is that
I am.
Oh yeah,
It's
you were in
also
the
hot here. Right.
right?
Yeah,
we got
it's
a
roasting
which
here.
is lovely, isn't it? We've got our annual Summerfest this weekend at Dirtfish, so
Nice.
lots of car shows and stands and stuff. So looking forward to that, and it should be a lot of fun.
That'll be fun. Yeah, I'm sorry to miss it.
And I've been spending my last couple weeks here writing the car descriptions for the Colorado Grand, the route book. I was telling you guys before, I have an official title now. It's a contributing editor. I need to work
Congratulations.
that a little bit more.
Yeah, fancy.
Thanks. Yeah. All eyes on me. It's been really interesting. I mentioned this because before we know it, the Grand will be here as well. It's,
Yep.
I think, the second week of September, and time flies. But really interesting seeing the cars that are coming in, the names, the participants. And it's interesting because some of these cars are so special. And you'd think, like, if I own this car, I know like every little single thing about this, and I could write an essay. And it's really funny the difference between some people contribute very little, and there's a lot of work to do, and other people contribute way too much, and the work is in the culling down. But I think we're most of the way there. I'm so excited. Some of these people have such an amazing, stable that. You write a car description, and last minute they say, oh, well, the brakes aren't working. Can I bring this other amazing car? And so then you have to sort of hustle and write another description. But I'm very, very excited. It's such a highlight of my year. And I'm always a little relieved when the writing is done. So if I've been a little uptight the last couple of weeks, that's why it's a bit of work, but
Colorado's got quite a
totally
lot
worth it.
going on. Obviously, you got Pikes Peak, you got the Grand, you
Yeah.
got the Fat Ice Race.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's obviously
Yeah.
more stuff going on as well. If you want
Yeah.
to name drop a few more
Yeah,
events.
there's
maybe.
a big Italian show going on this weekend that I completely, just whiffed on, and had a couple people reach out this morning. And are you going to go? I think it's called Intermezzo, which sounds like a piece of music, but and I don't
Or
know
a
that I can
delicious
because
dish.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's right, with Alfredo sauce. It's
Right.
Oh,
you just sounded like the
making me
sweaty
hungry.
balls, the delicious dish, right? I got that reference, right?
That was the intent.
I went to did I tell you about this? We have a family in the neighborhood. I think this was something that came out of COVID. They do a concert on their lawn every Thursday night through the summer months. And
Wow.
in fact, tonight I can't go because I'm taking my daughter to one of her first big concerts. It's a band called AGR. We bought the tickets 5 months ago, but we're fourth row, so it's on. I'll be doing some drinking. It's a
Nice.
young person's band, but anyway, this neighborhood concert they do. They had a group last week, and bless their hearts, they were fantastic. The bassist apparently used to play with the Grateful Dead. But
Oh, wow.
the three of them together reminded me so much of what was the Taste the Biscuit group that
my
Spike
gosh.
was promoting pretty heavily there for a while. Do you guys remember this?
I can't think of what their name
Taste
was, but I know
Biscuit.
exactly.
So- There's a guy with a
Yeah.
keyboard,
And they sing in
singing
a
up on
thrift store.
Yes. So this was so close, right? Because this was in a front yard, right? There were the three of them. It was, I took a video, and it took everything I had to not take that clip and take can say something like, well, it's not quite Taste the Biscuit, but and this woman was so great. She was up there probably in her early 80s, and talk about a non sequitur here. I apologize. But a couple times got in the fact that she is single and looking. and that if any single men were in the audience tonight, and you're looking around, and there's like a lot of gray hair, that she was up to party, and it was either that or her and a Swanson TV dinner that night. So I so wanted to share that video, but I didn't want to throw them under the bus. Absolutely nothing to do with cars, but
I was going to say the picture that's given me now.
That's right. I'll share the video internally. I'll share.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and more power to her. You know, she saw an opportunity.
Oh, absolutely.
Did her best.
Absolutely. They were doing Nora Jones. They were really mixing it up. But it reminded me of that video, which in turn reminded me of the. Sometimes I look at ourselves on the screen here, and I go right to that that delicious dish.
Right. We've got to also do a shout out to obviously there's the launch of this in Colorado.
Yes.
The road show. So I know this show is going to come out after, but we'll take a snippet, and obviously then Ryan can get it out and beat the drum for it. So why don't you explain more about it, Ryan?
Yeah, or if you own a time machine, set it to 88 miles an hour. But August 3rd here in Denver, Avant, the car group that's a huge deal up where you two are from in the Pacific Northwest, and really gaining a foothold here in Denver lately, thanks to the efforts of James and Abel and others. But they were kind enough to reach out to us about doing a launch party. So again, you may hear this after the fact, but launch party, Brews Off Facts, which was Brews was a longtime steering committee sponsor, but 5 to 7 p.m. on August 3rd. It should be fun. I'm trying to get Jay from Sheffield Watches to show up, and if he can't show up, maybe a watch will. So, maybe we'll have a giveaway or two. And absolutely represent.
I know.
And so it's going to be a great time. Yes. Yeah. Again, every time I wear this watch out, I get a compliment or a question or whatever. At the last event I went to, it got passed around the table and was being compared to Rolexes and other really nice watches, Omegas and other things. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it very much. Any of the three of you hop in your private jet and join us. It would be amazing. But if not, I will be there. People in Denver are so tired of seeing me at stuff.
You're the guy. You're the celebrity.
Yeah.
How many supermarkets do you open now?
Ribbon cuttings.
Yeah. How are your ribbon cutting scissors? Are they getting a little dull?
I hear the mayor is going to give him the keys to Denver.
That's right.
Oh,
there you go.
$40. I'm at your event. $40. That's where I'm at.
Yeah, there we go.
Pay for half a tank of gas. But anyway, I'm looking forward to that. And thank you to Avance. Avance has been very, very supportive.
Indeed.
As has
awesome.
Fuel Fed here in the Denver Boulder area as well. So I'm off to a concert to take my daughter tonight. It's going to be great. Fourth row. AJR, look them up. They're pretty damn good. It's my first concert was Liberace. My parents took me to see Liberace.
No way.
At an outdoor theater. Yeah. In Indianapolis,
my first concert was ZZ Tops.
ZZ Top. Oh,
wow.
And
both legends in their own way.
It smelled like a lot of weed in this big 80,000 stadium. It was like a big.
Oh, that's amazing, Alan.
And hold it all. So
how cool were your parents? They took you to ZZ Top. Yeah.
They don't know I went. Actually, they were out of town, and my elder brother, who was babysitting, he said, "You got two options here. You know, you either spend the night alone or you come with me. Your call." It's like, okay,
that's amazing.
Wait,
I have this theory that your first
13.
Oh
12.
wow, that's
I love it.
That's extra cool. I have this theory that your first concert sort of guides your life, right? Your first real concert. And so fortunately, I got to see the Dead Milkmen soon after, which was a punk band. And so that kind of, that was the yin to the Liberace Yang. Yeah. That sounded funny, the Liberace Yang. But
I like that theory.
So you had ZZ Top. What about you two? What was your first show?
Yeah, Dan, what was yours?
And be honest, don't just make it a cool one here.
I was in the Royal Box at Wembley for Bon Jovi.
Get out of here.
That was your first concert?
That was my first ever concert, and it was downhill ever since.
That's not even a humble brag, Dan. That's just a brag. I love it.
I didn't want to lie.
Yeah.
You were there with Princess
Diana. By the way.
Well, we don't know whether you win yet, so I think Lindsay must.
Oh, true. What do you have in your back pocket, Lindsay?
Okay, so my first concert with my family was John Denver.
Oh, wow. There you go.
Nice. You may have actually shared this. This may have come up before, but John Denver.
Possibly.
Wow.
Yeah, so John Denver.
That was before he got into the experimental aircraft, yeah.
Right.
Sorry, terrible joke.
Yeah.
I got to be careful here in Denver. But yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Ah.
John Denver. And then my first concert by myself was Dave Matthews Band.
Dave Matthews.
Wow.
Okay, that's cool. That's
So,
he's still around.
those-
He's holding up. Yeah.
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 So it's
He's
kind of
a
like you,
special
Ryan,
resident.
like contrast.
That's right. Yeah, a little bit of
There you go.
this, a little bit of that makes you who you are, right?
And I
Yeah.
don't know what you guys are doing this weekend. I've because it was my wife's birthday recently, so I thought I'd be
Happy birthday.
a good partner, and I
Yeah.
bought. I saw on Instagram, and that's my window into life. So that's where I learn everything.
Right.
And there was someone having afternoon tea at Buckingham Palace, so I thought that's amazing. I'll do that. So I went onto the website. I booked the ticket. Typical me doing things at 6 o'clock in the morning when I'm don't have my glasses on and I'm still half asleep. I booked tickets for a tour of Buckingham Palace. Yay, that's great. That'll be interesting. Never been. But we're doing afternoon tea on an open top double decker red bus driving around London. So
Oh wow.
I hope it's not raining. So it's not quite what I thought I was paying for, but we'll make the most of it. So yeah.
Well, you
you
get to
know-
see your
down the
tax
bus-
dollars. Go ahead.
Yeah. When you sit down on the bus, just check that there's no price list.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. Yeah.
Live and learn.
Oh, you had a bottle of champagne, Mr. Orchard. That would be £55. Yeah.
Well, Alan, the
I think
rest of
some
us
abuse is in order.
appreciate when we appreciate you doing this for the sake of the plot, because I'm assuming there's going to be a good story out of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well,
There's
let's
gotta be.
see. Yeah.
Yeah. The things we
Me
do
and
has
for
to
our
on an open top bus. Something has to go wrong. So yeah.
Ideally, yes, because then we get a good story.
Yeah. Yeah.
they sell the little mini liquor bottles in the UK of like the cheap liquor, like Fireball, and is that a thing? Can you like
Yeah.
pad your pockets with those, get you through the day? Is that
Beef eats a gin, right?
Yeah.
You're gonna go to the palace.
And there you go.
That's it.
And there you go.
Yeah.
Go see your tax dollars at work, right? In the palace, right?
In the palace.
We don't get political here on the road show. But
If
not
I
at all.
want to bring us back to cars for a minute,
Real quick.
tenuous link between the palace. One of the guys who was camping with us all weekend at Goodwood was a rally driver by the name of Mark Higgins. So fantastic, he was a rally driver, but he was also Daniel Craig's stunt double for all the Bond movies. So
Oh,
he was
wow.
the one doing all those fantastic stunts
Amazing.
in all of the Craig films.
Well,
He's
that's
done Fast and
spooky because I
Furious.
did all of his love scenes.
There we
So
go. Yeah.
Hey,
yeah.
so
I
we've
never
got all the
knew.
bases covered.
Yeah, right. In my dreams.
Yeah. But shout out to Mark, who was the top chap and was sharing all sorts of stories and pictures with me. Good luck.
Alan, I should have
That
said which one
sounds so
were you,
cool.
but no, it's
That's right. Yeah.
kidding.
Touche.
That's awesome. But these are the circles that we roll in here at the road show.
Yeah.
Right?
Huh?
Let's see if we
Well,
can get Mark on the podcast.
That would be really fun. Well, and Dan, I thought you had a really interesting observation about the Festival of Speed, kind of with the manufacturer presence there, because it sounds like that's the equivalent to what's happened with Car Week here. Because a lot of the manufacturers
Yeah.
are doing the debuts
Yeah.
at Car Week instead of at the big auto shows like they used to. So it sounds like a similar
Yeah.
thing has happened in England.
You know,
See,
that
there's
is
lots of
true, actually. In
parallels, yeah.
McLaren, I don't think I'm letting the cat out the bag, but there is going to be an unveiling of something at Car Week as well for McLaren. So,
Nice.
We're already
Hopefully.
seeing
Too
Too
bad we
lots
don't
of buzz
know
around
anybody
that.
there.
yeah.
Can
I'm
we
so
borrow one for the
scared.
week?
Let's try. I was in a meeting today, and because obviously they know that I'm doing this, and they said, "Alan, pen down.
Mm. Yeah.
Don't write anything in case it slips out." So Yeah.
Well, you're nothing
not
if not a
pressure,
vault,
isn't it?
Alan. So
yeah, I'm trying to be honourable. Yeah.
Well, we should-
where the money's coming from.
That's right. Well, there's no money involved here, so no honor amongst
No, that
the
Porsche
road show.
Colorado Spring shirt was free.
That's-
so it's go on, give them a plug. They're good to you.
It was
That's right.
free, and then I saw the price list. Right?
Oh, yes.
Not
You
kidding.
paid
It's
for it one way or
included.
another.
I love those guys. Right? No, those guys would never do that. Those guys are honorable. They're the rare honorable guys. Right at a car dealership. Love those guys. But we should wrap this up. But I will report back from my concert attending. I hope you all have good weekends. Hope there's some car content involved. You all get out for a drive.
Definitely.
Oh,
I
I
guess.
forgot. I'm going to Formula E in London
Oh,
as
right.
well
Yep.
with
Nice.
Porsche on Sunday.
Nice.
So
Nice. Want to hear all
yeah.
about that. Post some stuff to Instagram, your window to the world. It's
I will. It'll be pictures of cars, not dodgy pictures of me back when I was 21 years old.
I
So
wanted to mention, in case you missed that, that's the picture on Instagram that I think we all reposted was
yeah,
was Alan. Well, how old were you there, Alan?
22.
22.
It was the
Just
start of my what was going to be an amazing racing car driving career, and I realized how expensive it is. So that's my memorabilia. In fact, the logo on the side, Definitive, that was the company I was working for as a software sales guy. And I said, hey, what's the chances I can get my year's commission up front? And he
amazing.
was like, no. And so I wore him down, and he did it. So
Nice.
yeah, so I could buy the car, and then basically I worked it off for the year. So
Living your best life. And there's a documentary out there at some point, from some point in your life too, right? That was later. But
yeah, that was the
Alan's full of
Daniel Craig years. So no, so
Alan's full of amazing
footage.
nuggets. So I think we just lost Lindsay. I think we had a little
it's a
technical
sign.
glitch.
Time to go.
That's right. Okay, guys, enjoy your weekend. Thanks for the great conversation. And until we meet again, we're the Road Show. Thank you.
Good night.